It's that 1-2. 1-1-2. You know how we do. Hey, hey,
Hey, how
welcome everybody.
everybody? How you guys doing today? This is Samantha. I'm Samantha Adams, one of your co-hosts here at the Counterpoise podcast. We'd like to welcome you and thank you all for joining us. Currently, I'm sitting here with my other two great co-hosts. You guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Malik Foster, a co-host for the Counterpoise podcast.
And I am Everett Stevenson here today on location. But definitely wanted to go ahead and let you guys know so you guys forgive me for not having the background and everything. But wanted to make sure that we get you guys an excellent show today. And this week we have a good one. We're talking about sexual assault rather in politics. Recently, we've just seen that the New York governor has been facing some mounting pressures due to allegations of sexual harassment within some of the people in which he's been working with, his staff members. And today we wanted to take time to address either some past discretions, if you will, or sexual assaults or sexual harassment or that have been raised against other political figures throughout our time frame. So we have an interesting topic today. We're going to talk about a few different politicians and some of their transgressions that have came up throughout their political careers.
Yep. But before we get into that, I want to highlight our Black business of the week. My brother, who's an entrepreneur, he has several. This week is actually one of his businesses. It's called Great Heights Great Heights Co., where they focus on investing in generational wealth. This is his website. Looks like this, so that way you all know when you go to the right that you go to the right place when you go to it. It gives a lot of information. It talks about how to create general wealth, what it actually is, things like that. And the website is greatheightsco.com. So that's greatheightsco.com. So you guys make sure you guys hit them up, check them out, all that good stuff. Yeah. So let's dive right in. Like he said, today we're talking about sexual assault with politicians, and Governor Cuomo was forced to resign. You know what I mean? He was forced out. I think it's interesting, like, you know, we talk about these things off camera. And one of the points that they made, that Ian and Malik both made, that I found to be very interesting, is a lot of times when people is accused of sexual assault, they are judged to be guilty in the eye of public opinion. Lots of times there's no investigation that takes place prior to them being pretty much branded. But on the flip side to that, you know, if you're a legitimate victim of sexual assault, you know, you don't want to see your what's the word I'm looking for? Abuser to continue to like rise in power and fame and money and wealth and just continue to enjoy the spoils of his life when he's essentially kind of ruined yours or had a huge negative impact in your life. So I think that it's actually really interesting. What do you guys have to say?
I think a lot of it for me is kind of solely based around the times. I think because like we said when we were having this conversation, you know, initially, you know, we seen with Bill, people came up and they're coming back from 50, 60 years ago, you know what I'm saying, with these allegations, if not more. You know, and then, you know, with Cuomo, these were a little bit more recent. But then we've also seen, I think they had allegations of Prince Charles, excuse me, is it Charles?
Edward,
Um, Andrew, or is it Andrew? Pardon me.
Andrew,
Prince
Andrew.
Andrews, pardon me, yeah, Prince Andrew, who's overseas. I think his one of his accusers have been speaking out again. So I think a lot of it's kind of more centered around the time, and we're in this cancel culture, so I think a lot of people feel a little bit more comfortable coming forward with allegations of things that went on in the past, and think that now is a time in which a lot of people have been catching flack and actual consequences. Whereas in times in the past, they may have felt like they weren't seeing actions or discipline being taken towards individuals who display these type of behaviors due to either their status or their connections in society. They may have felt like it would be fruitful for those efforts to be made. And I think nowadays women and people in general are starting to have more of a voice and feel more protected than they have in the past. And I think that's why we're seeing people start to come forward a lot sooner, and I think that's partially a good thing. But at the same time, I do think that investigations need to take place. I do think that proper protocols need to be followed in order for a person to resign. I don't think that they should necessarily go down with just the smoke or exit off with just smoke if there hasn't been, proper procedures and things. And I think with Mr. Cuomo, there has been, to my understanding, there has been investigations that have been taking place with the AG and other departments, to my understanding. So I think this one may be a little bit different than other situations, but I just wanted to just go ahead and vocalize my position on this.
Yeah, I want to say that with Cuomo's specific position, I have an article that kind of outlines the allegations and the reports and the findings that they have. So let me share my screen real quick so y'all guys can see that. Um, and that will kind of shed some more light into my opinion. Can y'all see that? Can y'all see my screen? So basically, what I have highlighted right here is there was a report that the New York State General found that Governor Cuomo sexually harassed over dozens of women. So there was also a 165-page report, as y'all can see, that he unlawfully retaliated against one of his aides. So and created a toxic work environment. So I mean, I think that plus the Biden thing really led to his resignation. Like, okay, his friend Biden, who's the current sitting president, asked for him to step down. So I don't think he had a choice, because I know he was adamant about not resigning. But I think in this particular case, I think that's the best option for him, considering that, there could be possibly charges brought against him. So if they're willing to settle for him to step down and like kind of go away, I think that's something that he should agree to. And I think that's what his team probably advised him on. I can only speculate, but they're like, look, this could be really bad. You don't want charges being brought. You don't want to be found guilty. So if you resign, you could save some face a little bit. But overall, when it comes to some of this political dirt, it's really interesting that these allegations, really can bring some of these political people down. I would like to just suppose that too. Like when you think about unarmed Black people getting murdered, like there's no court of public opinion. It doesn't work. It's like, oh, let the process work out. But with these political politicians, with these politicians in the political matters, it's like the court of public opinion seems to prevail more so, and they're forced to like step down and give into the court of public opinion's demands. I know it's usually around sexual harassment, so that's a little different than what's going on with Black people across the country. But I would like to make that comparison just when it comes to the court of public opinion, and how like when it comes to Black people, it's a little bit different than other groups.
No, I definitely want to echo that too. I know we talked about this too, but I think one of the things that in reference to that is the term sexual harassment, and I think Sam, you were talking to us about this earlier too, about how I believe that term was kind of brought into existence due to the fact that when Senator, excuse me, when Supreme Court Justice Thomas investigation was being taken into consideration, and at that time, I think that was the first time the nation was kind of brought along to you hearing the term, or the term was coined as sexual harassment. And again, this happened under the investigation of Senator Thomas, or excuse me, um,
Judge.
Justice, yeah, Clarence Thomas, and in his investigation that they do technically before they appoint them to the office. So their hearing rather that they do before they appoint them to office. So that was the first time that I think we heard that term, and I think that those are actions that have technically been going on in the workplace, as we can see, for years. But again, that term wasn't deemed until we see a black man looking to arise, and that's when all of a sudden we're gonna coin this term, if you will, of sexual harassment.
That's true, but I'm sorry.
No, that was just one thing, and then I also think that another thing that we look at too is in reference to what we were saying of that was we look at the Bill Cosby situation, and how people was coming back from him, like you said, 50, 60 years ago, when we know for a fact that there's probably been tons of people who have unfortunately had to suffer through sexual abuse on the workplace, and within another 50 or 60 years. But unfortunately, this was the first face that we have saw that had to accept, charges going back from that far.
Yeah, I mean, the Justice Thomas thing was really interesting because that's when you really started, because Anita Hill couldn't even really define it. And that's when they started talking about, they called it sexual harassment. And, some of it is sexual abuse, some of it is sexual harassment. There's certainly a difference. Or sexual assault, there's definitely a difference. But, I also want to kind of compare what happened with Justice Thomas as to what happened with Justice Kavanaugh. Both of them were alleged to have committed these acts. As a matter of fact, Justice Kavanaugh was accused of raping a woman, not, just saying a bunch of slick shit that he had no business saying, And so with that being said, well, I mean, there was more to it with Anita Hill. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to downplay the situation that happened with her. It was not okay in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And I just don't think that if you have someone who is supposed to be one of the leaders of our nation in one of the highest forms of portions and branches of our government, who's appointed for the rest of their life, who can't essentially be fired, they have to be voted out, which is almost never going to happen because in our history, it's never happened with the United States Supreme Court judge, that they should be allowed to have a position of that caliber, knowing that I'm not saying that, everybody is, people do deserve a second chance, right? But I believe that people should show that they have rehabilitated. And in the situations where you're talking about people like Justice Thomas or Justice Kavanaugh, you don't see where there was any kind of rehabilitation. All you see is denial, right? Despite the fact that there may have even been evidence of it, and then they become pretty much judgment proof because now they're members of the highest court in the land. You know what I mean? And that kind of goes into even with President Biden, right? Although I know Cuomo and Biden are friends, but during the campaign, Biden was alleged to have participated in sexual harassment or some form of sexual abuse. I believe it was sexual assault. I think it was sexual harassment, if I'm not mistaken. I think we have an article about that. But it was definitely, there was a couple of women, if I'm not mistaken, that came out and said something. The other part, so on one hand, it's I don't think it's okay for women to falsely accuse men, because when that happens, you totally can ruin a person's life. You can ruin their life, their livelihood, their ability to do anything, especially going forward, right? Because then they're marked with this scarlet letter. And even if they're vindicated, there are a lot of times where a woman can come back out later and be like, oh no, I lied. And people don't believe it. So, I think it's very important to know that it's not okay to falsely accuse people of doing those kinds of things. However, I think it's very important to know that it's not okay to participate in that type of activity either, and to subject women to these types of things. Like, we're just out here living our lives, trying to go to work every day, just trying to live. And women are constantly sexually harassed on a regular basis. And when I say sexually harassed, I don't necessarily mean just, oh, hey, you're pretty, I'm not interested, and then you keep it moving. I don't mean that. I mean, I'm talking about the incessant, won't leave you alone, just real disgusting or sleazy or whatever have you. Like, there's a lot of different ways in which women are sexually harassed on a day-to-day basis. I mean, what is considered to be sleazy or slimy or whatever, or disrespectful or harassing, definitely can be subjective. It's dependent upon the woman. It's dependent upon what the person is saying and how it's interpreted. And there's a lot of different moving parts to it. And I think that's what makes sexual harassment and sexual assault such a tricky thing. But when you're talking about it in the workplace, I just don't think it belongs there, period. You know what I mean? I don't. And I think,
Certainly.
I definitely agree.
yeah, that's my personal opinion. Go ahead, E.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I agree with that too, and I think also we have to take into context too. One of the things that we learn is you have to look at your position when you were in a position of authority in a sense too. Just like we also know, like that weighs into the factor. So the fact that you may have authority and direct supervision over an individual, and then you make certain advances towards them, that person can then take that as a sense of they felt uncomfortable and they didn't necessarily know if this was a personal past or if this was something that might have an effect on their workplace as well. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
why it's like when you're in those type of positions of authority and power, you have to be very mindful of the type of advances that you may make or the way that you even fraternize or socialize with certain individuals under your leadership,
Exactly.
because this could be mistaken and interpreted as one thing. And I think it's really tricky too, just as a guy, being just straight up honest, we do understand that women are superbly better than a lot of times than men in organizing and getting things done and finding ways to just make things kind of get in this line nice, neat, and orderly. And so, as a guy, it really would behoove you to have women on your team because they'll be able to see things a lot of times and do things, that generally as men, we might not necessarily be as effective at doing than, having women in those positions. So, you know, a lot of times you're going to have to be in positions in which you work with women. But I think that's why it's almost behooves people to have that policy that you just said of just maybe the hands off or no, you know what I mean, like a no, no go type of situation, so that there is no level of
There's
I
no gray
don't know if
area.
this is yeah, you know what I'm saying. There
Right.
was no room for that for that confusion. But unfortunately, that's not necessarily how things go. And again, a lot of times, like you said, when people work together, that's where a lot of relationships happen because they're spending a lot of times with each other. They might be spending more times with, the people that they're working with than with their own spouses and other times. So it's likely that things can happen, especially when you're in like those type of high profile type of positions where you do have to do a lot of work a lot of times, and it's not traditional hours that you may be working. But again, I just think that's when the discipline of the individual and that leader has to step in. That's when the morals and the character of that man or whoever that person is that's in
Or
that leadership
woman,
position,
because there's
right?
women out
Whoever the
there that are
person
doing the
is
same
that's in that
thing. Yeah.
leadership position, they have to just go ahead and have that type of character and moral to say, you know what, okay, I'm going to move in a different direction, or I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to put myself in position to jeopardize either my position with this company and or the company's position. Because again, I think we can go back to even though this isn't politics, but wasn't there somebody like in Google or Uber or something like that that also had these charges early on with sexual
I think it
harassment as
was
well? So
Google, and it was a couple of months ago, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
If I'm not
so
mistaken,
like
but
one of the like VPs or something like that, I
mhm.
had some charges. So
Yeah,
it's
maybe.
something that goes on in a lot of culture, not just politicians, but a lot of corporate America and just in general. But
Especially
again,
with
I think
like privileged
that's
men, like privilege. A
Right.
yeah,
lot of privileged men used to getting their way with everything just because they have money or they come from a good family or went to a good school and stuff like
Yeah.
that. These allegations tend to surround them. And you mentioned Kavanaugh; he has a lot of allegations. and it always involves drinking and partying with a lot of his boys in college and stuff like that. So dating back from high school to his college years, he's had a lot of these allegations. So this seems to be something that runs with a lot of people who run for politics or judge positions, all these different elected positions or appointed positions, to where I guess they feel privileged because of their background. Maybe they had a good family. Maybe if they didn't have a good family, they let the power go to their head, like their authority. What were you gonna say, Sam?
Yeah, there's a couple things. One thing that I think is important to note is that when people have a position of power and they place their quote unquote subordinates into these circumstances, and under these circumstances, it creates a hostile work environment. And that's not okay, ever. And then another thing I wanted to make sure I touched on is when people speak up. A lot of times, whenever these types of allegations come out, you hear that they happened a long time ago and things of that nature. But a lot of times people don't think about what that woman had to go through mentally and emotionally before she could speak up, and why women don't speak up. A lot of times what people don't understand is when a woman is sexually assaulted, sexually harassed, or sexually abused in any type of way, when she brings it up, she is re-abused. Every single time a person brings that stuff up, she's violated every single time. And the reason why is she has to relive that moment over and over and over again. And then she's questioned about it. And then it's picked apart. And then you have people that are judging her saying that she made it up, or it's not real, or it's not true. And women know this going in. So when they have this experience, a lot of times you don't see women speak up about it because they don't want to have to go there. They don't want to have to relive it. They just want it to be over. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of times people don't think about the fact that that's the thing that they have to go through. And if you don't want to have to relive it over and over and over again, like, for example, because this is a little bit more recent, when you look at the situation with Justice Kavanaugh, it took that woman years to speak up about it. And when she finally got the courage to do it, look at what they did. They picked apart her whole life, right? They picked apart everything. They questioned everything that she did. They pretty much called her a liar. Now, let's say you didn't believe her. Let's say you're one of the people that didn't believe her. Now, imagine for a second she wasn't lying. And think about all of the things that you may have said or you may have thought, along with all the other people that have thought and said whatever they thought and said, all the mail, hate mail, whatever, all the stuff that they've put up on social media, the things that they've said in the media. And imagine for a second she was telling the truth. So people don't want to go through that. You know what I mean? So that's one of the reasons why people wait or don't say anything at all. But at the same time, they don't think it's okay for their abuser to continue to rise in power, get more money, more accolades, continue to have the best, fullest, blessed, most blessed life. It's almost like a comparison with, I forgot the woman's name. I don't intend on knowing her name, but the woman that accused Emmett Till of whistling at her or whatever it was. That lady that boy was murdered brutally. And that woman got to live her whole life unscathed by it. And that's not justice, right? And so when you look at sexual assault, those are the things that you have to weigh when you're talking about it, which kind of transitions me into Donald Trump, okay? Donald Trump has been accused of sexual assault by a lot of people. And most of it came out during his presidency. It's interesting. It's interesting that we haven't heard anything about it now that he's no longer president. Before we know,
his ex-wife even came out and said something.
But something, though, he could be out there paying people off.
That's
non-disclosure agreements.
What's going on, yeah.
Right. He does intend on running for president again. We don't know what's going on with that, but we haven't heard anything, and I don't know how many non-disclosure agreements there are, but eventually he's going to come across the one that's going to say, I don't want all that. I want you in jail. And, you know, it's not going to go down like how he thinks. And I think that is just interesting. We have you were saying his wife, right?
Yeah, his ex-wife, Ivana, she basically accused him of rape, but what Cohen said was at the time that you can't rape your spouse, but eventually he walked back the comments and said it was inarticulate for him to say that.
Yeah, see?
So
Yeah,
That ain't
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Cohen
And then
was
like you said, because I
Trump's
think
lawyer
that's
at that time
but
on that.
that's like an old school saying, like that thought process, that or that mindset of women is chattel. You know what I'm saying? I can't do no wrong to my wife, like because that's my property type of like that's that era. You know what I'm saying? Of like
Mm-hmm.
people as chattel type of mindset. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so to me, like that's where I feel like some of this stuff is coming from in regards to this issue, and I think that's why I think it's really funny that the term got coined under Justice Thomas's name, but again, this mindset, this attitude, this culture is something that's been going on and prevalent in American society for some time.
Yeah, it absolutely has. I mean, like you said, it's like that whole dowry school of thought. And it definitely, because look at if Ray was accused of doing all that, Ray will be getting strung up in the middle of Times Square. You know what I'm saying? Just random Ray who doesn't have any power. He's just some random dude who might have like a little supervisory position at, I don't know, whatever little business that he's working at. Um, it's just sad because just because somebody has privilege, which typically are white men, they are slated to be able to get away with it. You know what I'm saying? Um, I know that, like I said earlier, we have an article about Joe Biden. I mean, yes, he's our current sitting president, but I think that it's just interesting him as an example of what we're talking about as it relates to people with privilege, people with money, people with power being able to potentially, because I don't know whether or not he did it, potentially participate in this type of behavior and
Yeah, because they're all allegations at the end of the day. It's not like they're found guilty in the court of law. It's right now they get found guilty in the court of public opinion. So it's
right,
not like there was a whole due process and we went through the system. Nope. It was just like, hey, there's a bunch of allegations. You gotta step down. That's
right,
what's going on.
mm-hmm.
But
Right.
we could compare what Trump's actions are, and he had like over 26 people who came out and accused him. I think it was in 2017, and even before his election, accused him of these um, acts, these sexual harassment acts, and that didn't stop him from becoming president. So even Joe Biden, our current president, he's had some things. I guess I'll show the brief article real quick, just real
Mm-hmm.
quick.
And while you're pulling that up, Malik, I just wanted to say, on top of the fact that we all heard with our own two ears Donald Trump brag about it. You know what I mean?
So the main person is this Tara Reid lady. She was a aide to Biden when he was a senator, and because there were 7 other accusers, but they all just, I guess, walked it back. But basically, no, there was 8 women. Excuse me. They accused him of Biden touching them inappropriately while they were in the work office, but Biden has denied the assault or harassing Reid. But the thing is, with Biden, his apology was nothing. All he said was, according to his article, back in 2019, he was criticized for what was critics deemed as giving a non-apology apology, in which he said he would try to do better moving forward. And he later said he's not sorry for anything that he's ever done. So that's crazy that Biden would say something like that. That's like something that Trump would say. Like he started
But
sounding
I,
like Trump
I
with that.
don't I don't know if that's all he said. Because I actually remember him saying that sexual assault is a very serious thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
And
But when it
and
came to his particular case with Miss
hold
Reed,
on, let me finish what I was saying. Not only did he say that it was a very serious thing, he also said, I welcome the investigation. You see what I'm saying? So in him making those comments, he also welcomed the investigation, and the investigation didn't turn up anything. Now, I don't know if that's just because he had the power to hide things, which is quite possible, or if there was nothing there, like he didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I mean about this kind of stuff, especially when you're talking about people in places of power where you don't know whether or not nothing is turning up because of just their power and their ability to hide things, or if they really didn't do it. You know what I mean? And that's what makes it tough, you know, because like I said before, there are definitely people out there, women out there that falsely accuse men, you know.
I mean, that's true.
You know, and especially in the climate that we're in, you know, especially with politics and all that, because everybody knows you want to ruin a politician, say they sexually assaulted you. It's almost like that's the only way. You know what I mean? To ruin a politician. And even now, that's still not even super effective. You
That's
know
the
what I mean?
go-to political tactic.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hear
E,
myself.
did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I agree with you guys on that one completely. I think that one of the things about I think that like what you were saying, just completely like, you know, it does make finding out if these issues are really do occur because of the fact that they go away so quickly and we don't know if it's settled, you know, outside of court, in court. Was it true, not true? Did they just want to kind of get that over with and not deal with the issue and the backlash? Or was it something that was actually creditable and it actually deserved, you know, that? Um, so I think that's really what we wanted to do, is just to kind of like, you know, bring this type of awareness to the citizens so that we can all be more critical analyzers when we look at these type of situations and don't necessarily just go off of, you know, first thought or first response.
Yeah, I wanted to also kind of compare that to what went on with President Biden, President Trump versus, I don't know why Chino always wants to bark when I'm talking, but compare that with what was going on with Bill Clinton and what was going on with Obama. And the reason why I say that is Bill Clinton also had a number of accusers, but he didn't get impeached for sexual assault or even sexual harassment. He really got impeached for cheating on his wife and lying to the Senate about it. You know what I'm saying? He cheated with Monica Lewinsky. Everybody knows the story. And if you don't, he cheated with her. He was, you know, doing sexual things with her with a cigar. He ejaculated on her blue dress that she saved for years. I don't really know why, but she did. And then, and the reason why we know he lied is because when he was called, the fact that, first off, he was called before the Senate to be questioned about his affair with Monica Lewinsky. Never mind the fact that he kept trying to warn everybody about the fact that Osama bin Laden was getting ready to bomb the World Trade Center, and nobody listened, right? And so, and then it happened. 9/11 happened. And so while it was a distraction, right? And so he said that he had not had sexual relations with the woman, but then they had a blue dress and all that other kind of stuff. And then he was impeached. He didn't get kicked out of office because I think that our government, our Senate said we got bigger fish to fry. But during the campaign, Donald Trump filed in all of these women who actually accused him, including Linda Tripp, accused him of sexual assault. The Clintons have been sued for many, many things. I'm not 100% sure if he's been sued or anything for sexual assault. I don't think he actually has. I don't know why. Maybe there's not enough to it. Things like that. But I just think that it's super duper interesting that when you had him, a sitting president, get impeached for having an affair on his wife rather than any of these alleged sexual assaults, Then you had Donald Trump, who was accused of assaulting 26 women prior to his presidency. Who knows, during his presidency, nothing happened to him. Joe Biden was accused of sexually assaulting 8 women. Nothing happened to him. Cuomo, a governor, had forced to resign, so essentially fired. You know what I mean? And I just think that it's interesting that, like I said before, that seems to be the only way to get people to cut down to size. You know what I'm saying? There was also that guy, Anthony Weiner, who was sexting that girl, and then he went to jail and was still out there doing the foolishness. It's like, you just
I was Illinois, right?
I think so. But I just remember thinking, like, why are you still doing it? You just got caught, bro. Just relax. You know what I mean?
I think it is Illinois because I believe he was the person who replaced President Obama for that senator seat, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he was not. There was another guy, and he was into that. It wasn't Weiner. I think his name was Anthony Weiner. Weiner was
a lot of these politicians are into this.
He was a politician, but he was also married to a aide of Hillary Clinton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's why I said it could have been Illinois, but it could have been a different state too. I'm not really 100% sure which state that was.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so or maybe he was responsible for helping to elect whoever was supposed to fill that seat or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but nonetheless, though, I definitely think that we've seen numerous accounts in which there's been, transitions within politics, and I think we contrast that with, like we just said, the politician that came out of Illinois and became the president not too long ago with Obama, and how, when he came in, he kind of had to have like this super squeaky clean, image, just as many people traditionally normally had to have to become president. But as we've seen lately, that that's not necessarily having to be the case, and as we've seen these allegations that's been coming up within the presidents that have followed his presidency, that there's been allegations of type of behaviors for sexual assault, and that these individuals have still been able to rise to the highest position, if you will, in this country. So I definitely think that it's shown like that there's been a change in the culture that maybe, I don't want to say that the people are a little bit more forgiving, because as we see with Cuomo, like they're not necessarily, but it's a little bit, I don't really know how to like view it, because like, so do like they pick and choose who's the individuals that we're going to say we're going to allow this to go through and move forward with,
maybe it's others, like if they cross somebody over politically, maybe.
I'm wondering, or do they not have the means to be able to, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think it's the timing.
Not as rich as.
No, I think it's the timing. I think it's the timing, because if you think about it, with Bill Clinton, he was already in office, so there's that, right? With Donald Trump, I think you heard about it when he was running, but I think, the whole reason why Donald Trump even won that election was more so about the fact that people didn't go vote because they just didn't believe he would become president. So everybody assumed everybody else was going to vote, and they didn't, and then Hillary lost. I really think that played a huge part. I'm not saying it's the only reason, because there were definitely a lot of Trump supporters that went out there and voted. But and with President Biden, it was really like, do we crucify him for this and sacrifice the ability to have a different president in office for the next 4 years? Or, do we just say, forget it and take Trump for the next 4 years? And I think so many people were fed up with Donald Trump that they just said, we're just going to have to take this L. You know what I'm saying? And I think that definitely played a part in it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people did not like Joe Biden. They voted for him begrudgingly. They didn't like him, but they hated Trump, or they disliked Trump more. And that right there is how come I believe President Biden, became the president, and I think that it's interesting. And the reason why I said something about the situation with Obama, you know what I mean? I know he was going to touch on this more, but the situation with Obama is Obama had to be damn near Jesus. He had to be perfect in order to become president. He was Black, he's biracial. Yes, I know there's a lot of our viewers that don't necessarily subscribe to that, but it is what it is. He was my complexion. That man was Black. I know that I get followed in the store just like he probably did when he was my age. You know what I'm saying? He was a Black man, and he had to be pretty much perfect. And he has a whole Black family, and they had to be pretty much perfect. And you didn't need that with Donald Trump. You had Donald Trump, whose wife was like a low-key porn star, and his third wife, and his kids were all over the place, and you just got all, and then he's got all these sexual allegations. But if Obama had that, y'all know, you could love Obama, you could hate Obama. I know Malik definitely criticizes Obama, but I think we are all in consensus in knowing that Obama would have had to have been, he had to be perfect, not would have, he had to be perfect for the entire time in order to be
perfect
president.
image, we should say. Nobody's perfect, but a perfect image at least.
Yeah, I just criticize his legislative policies and like his agendas, but like him as a person, he's a good American citizen, I think.
Yeah, so you have to be perfect when you're Black. We all learn at a young age that as Black people we got to work like 10 times harder to get the same thing, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's about your image. I was just gonna say, like, he had to have a good image compared to the others.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
And we have to work a lot harder just to get the same thing. And so also too, one thing that I wanted to touch on that none of us touch on, I don't even think we originally intended on talking about it, but I want to mention it real quick. All the people in power that we discussed are white men, but it doesn't mean that there are not Black people, men and women, or white women, or any other race or nationality of people that are not out there committing these types of, acts. Some of them are very powerful. Some of them are in politics. Some are not. And it doesn't make it worse because it comes from a white man. It's bad all around. I don't care who does it. And I just want to make sure I put that out there, that although we haven't highlighted any women or people of other nationalities and things of that nature, it's not because it doesn't happen. It's simply because we don't hear about it. It's not put up there on that level with people like Cuomo or Biden or Trump or Clinton or any other politician for that matter. We often just don't hear about it. And people are victimized all the time. And I think that it's important that if you yourself have been a victim of a sexual assault, or someone that has and they need help, I think that it's important to seek help. And if you're afraid, there's definitely there are national hotlines, there are local hotlines, you can Google them. But I will absolutely provide you guys with the National Sex Assault Hotline phone number. That's 1-800-656-HOPE, which is also 1-800-656-4673. Again, that's 1-800-656-4673. Sexual assault is not anything to play about. It's not a joke. It's not a game. It's none of that. And I think that, when people find themselves, in these situations, they definitely need help. And there's nothing wrong with getting it. Because
no, not at all. Not at all. I also wanted to tag back on that, Sam, and just say that again. I think another thing that people need to understand too, if they are victims of that or dealing with those things, is that don't ever feel like it was your fault. You know what I'm saying? Because Absolutely. I know a lot of times people may juggle with the thought of, well, is it, what did I do? Did I bring this along? Like, what about me, brought this? And it's not necessarily always that, you know what I'm saying? Of course, there might be things that may have allowed a person to maybe feel that comfortable, to get that comfortable, but nonetheless, it doesn't mean that they were right for doing it, and it doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying, that you have to accept that. And that's why, regardless of whatever, seek that help, that you may need, whether it's with counseling, whether it's, like you said, the help hotline, you just need someone to speak to. But get the help that you deserve so that you can, move past that and not let it bondage you as an individual, from being able to live your best life. And that's for anybody that may have been a victim to it. Not necessarily that it has to be a political person, but it could be a family member, it could have been a teacher, it could have been whoever, any individual who may have, suffered from this from the hands of any other individual. Please feel seek the help and the guidance that you may need so that you can properly heal and move forward and be a productive citizen, because we need you, the world needs you, and everyone needs you to be at your best. And it's not, something that, you should feel ashamed for, regardless of however it may have went down, regardless of whatever. Like, no one should feel like they should have to be a victim of someone else.
Absolutely. Which leads me to, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with what you said.
Yeah. That leads me to our motivational minute. I have a quote written by Beth J. Greenaway, and it says, "The hardest times can be the most powerful in terms of turning us from regular to exceptional human beings." And I know that if somebody is a victim of sexual assault, and when I say a victim of sexual assault, I mean whether they have actually been sexually assaulted, sexually harassed, sexually abused, or they have been accused and are completely innocent. Just know that I know that a lot of times things can be hard when you're dealing with these types of things. They can be very hard. They can almost seem impossible, but you have it in you to grow past it and to move forward. Even if it's hard to get over. I'm not saying that anybody should get over it, accept it, or anything, but you definitely have the strength and the ability to grow past it. And you may not feel that in the moment, but take your time, heal, and know that you're strong enough, because you are a survivor. And you would not have survived and made it this far in life if you didn't have that strength within you. So I just wanted to make sure I inspire people to know that you absolutely have it in you. And like E said, it's not your fault. And so you can do it. Even if you need help, just get the help that you need. And with that being said, I want to go ahead and highlight one more time our Black business for the week. It's called Great Heights Co., where they specialize in investments and generational wealth. They teach you, they show you how to do it, and a lot of other things. So hit them up. That's Great Heights Co. That's GreatHeightsco.com. Make sure you check them out. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and close out. My name is Samantha Adams. Make sure you follow us at Counterpoise Podcast right here on Facebook. Also on Instagram. We are here every Sunday on Facebook Live at 11:30-ish. And then every Wednesday at around 8:30 p.m.-ish. And all of these are Eastern Standard Time on Instagram Live. We talk about all kinds of things. We love to engage with you guys. So make sure you feel free to hit us up. We can talk about something that you want to talk about. You guys can engage. You can tap in and join the podcast if you like. We love that. And also, too, make sure you like, share, subscribe. We post these videos to our YouTube page every week. And also on our IG Live. We have all of our What's Up Wednesdays on our IG Live, and we have our Facebook podcasts on Facebook and also on our YouTube page. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. If you want to follow me on Facebook, it's Samantha Adams-ESQ. And on Instagram, it's Samantha Renee 77_ESQ. And I'm gonna let the fellas bring us home.
All right, guys. My name is Everett Stevenson. Once again, apologize for being out. So y'all see our backdrop, but it'll be back soon. But yeah, you guys can follow me at that guy 2104 on Instagram. Please feel free to send any videos that you see that you want us to talk about, any other things. Also feel free to comment, leave us a little suggestions on our Instagram page, Facebook as well. You can find us also. What's Up Wednesdays, we're always going live, as Sam said. But thank you guys for your time. Appreciate
it. Yeah. Once again, you can catch us live here on Facebook every Sunday at around 11:30 a.m. We go live on Facebook. We upload to YouTube after, shortly after. So that's every week. Also on Wednesday, we have What's Up Wednesday. Every week at 8:30. You can follow me and at Malik M. Foster on all social media handles. And Counterpoints Podcast, you can follow them. That social media, our social media, at Counterpoints Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and catch us on YouTube. So like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, like we all said, and make sure you leave a comment to let us know if you want us to discuss a particular topic. We're more than open to that, so just let us know. So that's it, and I'll take us home right now with our music. Hey. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Count up, boys. Hey, count up, boys. Sweden boys, and that girl. Boys, and that girl, yo. Oh boy.